What happens when a Jedi Council member is ordered to hunt down his own apprentice? What if the war pushed a Jedi too far, and her master had to choose between saving her or silencing her? Haruun Kal was supposed to be a minor campaign, barely even a target in the galactic war, but buried beneath the jungle and ash, the Republic found something far more dangerous than droids. A fallen Jedi Master, a warlord with the Force, and a war unlike any other. This is the Battle of Haruun Kal, a descent into madness, betrayal, and one of the darkest victories in Jedi history. At first glance, Haruun Kal was irrelevant. Tucked away in the mid-rim near the Ruusan reaches, its strategic value was practically non-existent. The planet was harsh, volcanic, toxic, with massive storms and dense jungles. But beneath the sulphur skies and seismic cliffs was something the Jedi Council couldn't ignore. The native Kuranai people were Force sensitive. Not just a few, many. The Jedi believed they were descendants of a long-forgotten Jedi outpost, with latent Force abilities that made them natural warriors. The Council feared that if the Separatists recruited these natives, especially with training, it could turn into a guerrilla nightmare. So the Jedi sent someone who could both connect with the Kuranai and survive the war zone. They sent Master Depa Billaba, a council member herself, and more importantly, Mace Windu's former Padawan. Depa's mission seemed successful at first. She trained Jedi-like militia called the Ak Guard, Kuranai warriors mounted on Ak dogs and trained to use the Force in battle. But as the local civil war, the so-called Summertime War, escalated between the native Kuranai and the city-dwelling Billaba, something changed in Depa. She disappeared from Republic communications. And then, a hollow recording emerged. It showed Depa brutally executing a prisoner, an unarmed Bilawi civilian. It wasn't a fake. It wasn't doctored. The Jedi Council was stunned. A council member had seemingly gone rogue, and so Mace Windu, her former master, was dispatched. But his orders were clear. Bring her back alive, if possible. If not, put her down. As Mace descended into the brutal jungles of Haruun Kal, he found more than droids and blasters. He found Kar Vastor, a massive primal warlord and Force-sensitive leader of the Ak Guard. Vastor was not Sith, but something older, more tribal, more raw. Vastor was the living embodiment of jungle warfare. Strength, brutality, survival. He and Depa had bonded, philosophically and militarily. She had joined him, believing that the Republic's rules didn't apply to Haruun Kal's chaos. To defeat the Separatists and Bilawi, she had embraced violence and lost herself in it. In Mace's own words, he could feel the shatter point, the moment where her fate and the galaxy's would crack. She did not fall to the dark side. She dove. Meanwhile, the Bilawi militia, 15,000 strong, was led by Colonel Lors Gepton, a Separatist-aligned tactician who tracked Mace's location using spy satellites that could trace his lightsaber's energy signature. Gepton's plan was brilliant and brutal. Drop Dakar missiles, essentially heavy-duty seismic bombs, right onto Mace's position, wiping out the Jedi and Vastor's warriors in one strike. At the same time, in orbit above the planet, the Republic cruiser Halleck arrived, only to be ambushed. Dozens of vulture droids hidden in orbit and camouflaged as debris, activated and opened fire on the gunships. The battle became chaos. Clone troopers wearing repulsor packs leapt into the void, one shielding their transports from droid fire with their own bodies. Gunships exploded mid-drop. One turret gunner, 7-4, was ejected into open space, but still managed to shoot down the last droid starfighter with help from an RP trooper. Back on the surface, the jungle roared with war. Mace Windu had survived the Dukas. Vastor and Karunai unleashed beasts, Akdogs, Grasser stampedes, and even a mounted Ancox against Bilawi turbostorm gunships and ground assault vehicles. But then, everything flipped. Mace, Vastor, and Depa commandeered 2 Bilawi gunships and used them to fire on the droid starfighters. The droids' limited programming misinterpreted this. They now saw Bilawi ships attacking them and turned on Gepton's own forces. Suddenly, the tide shifted. Clone troopers broke through and landed at Lorshan Pass. Mace revealed something stunning. This was the plan all along. Every move, every risk, meant to lure the enemy, bait their trap, and take the entire system. This is Mace Windu at his most strategic, combining force mastery, politics, and military timing into one precise moment. The final phase of the battle came at the capital city, Pelek Ba. Mace, Karunai fighters, and Republic troops stormed the city. They quickly took the spaceport and control bunker, but then, betrayal. Kar Vastor seized the command center and ordered attacks on Bilawi civilians, trying to ignite full-blown genocide. Mace confronted him, racing to the Ministry of Justice to find Lord Skepton and deactivate the droid fighter control systems. But Vastor wasn't done. Mace now had to face both his fallen apprentice and a brutal Force warlord at once. The final duel was brutal. Mace clashed with Kar Vastor in a battle of raw power versus precision. At the same time, Depa Billaba, tormented by her own guilt and madness, tried to end her own life. Nick Rostu, a Karunai soldier loyal to Mace, shot her lightsaber from her hand just in time. Mace managed to impale Kar Vastor with a vibro shield, ending his rampage, but the cost was devastating. Depa collapsed into a coma, Kar was arrested, and Mace, standing over a ruined city, heard Gepton ask, "Did we win?" Mace's reply was haunting. "I seem to be the last one standing." After the battle, Haruun Kal officially joined the Republic. Clone forces remained on planet to police both the Karunai and Bilawi. Depa Billaba's coma removed her from the Jedi Council, and her seat was filled by Obi-Wan Kenobi. Kar Vastor was imprisoned in the Jedi Temple. Nick Rostu, now a hero, received the Medal of Valor and eventually led the 44th Division. But the scars of Haruun Kal ran deeper than reports could show. The war hadn't just broken the planet, it had broken a Jedi, one of their own. Years later, under the Empire, Haruun Kal would be bombed again, its Karunai population possibly wiped out completely. What does it say about the Jedi that one of their most powerful masters had to break every rule to save his apprentice? That a Jedi Council member could be consumed by war, not in a grand battle, but in a forgotten jungle? The Battle of Haruun Kal was not just a skirmish in the Clone Wars. It was the shatter point where the Jedi's illusions cracked, and the jungle swallowed them whole. But what do you think? Should more Jedi have embraced the darkness like Billaba did to win the battles that were needed? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, like, subscribe, and join us next week for another deep dive into the archives. If you are enjoying the videos, become a member and let's uncover the galaxy's biggest secrets together. Thanks for watching.